Hello everyone, you're welcome to the fourth video in this series that we started off with to Dockerize an existing web application, put it under source control, and also get it deployed to AKS, that's Azure Kubernetes Service, and to also set up a very robust CI/CD pipeline to handle continuous integration and continuous deployment for us. Now, on this installment, we'll be looking at integration between Azure DevOps and GitHub Repository. Now, what we've done so far, okay, let's take a quick look at the first three videos we did. On the first video, what we did was to create our Azure resources using PowerShell, and we examined a small web app. We built and ran an image from it with Docker build and pushed the image into ACR manually. And then we deployed the web app to Kubernetes using a combined service and deployment YAML file. And then we tested the app deployment on Kubernetes using Postman. And then on the second video, what we did was we put that web app under source control within Azure DevOps. We loaded the web app codes and scripts into Azure DevOps repo. We created deployment namespaces on Kubernetes cluster from Azure DevOps, Dev, QA, staging, and prod. Then we created a CI/CD pipeline to automate the build and deploy stages. Then we adjusted the build triggers to only work on actual code changes and ignore script changes for now. And then we tested the app deployment to the dev namespace on Kubernetes using Postman. And then the third video that was done, we looked at the following steps, which was to extend the CI/CD pipeline to become multi-stage and multi-environment, deploying the dev, QA, staging, and prod environments. Then we also ensure that a change checked into the dev branch can trigger a build that gets pushed into the Azure Container Registry for Docker images and gets deployed automatically all the way from dev to QA, staging, and prod. Then we implemented approval gates on each of the dev, QA, staging, and prod environments. Then we also implemented Slack integration with Azure DevOps so users can grant their approvals or fill the builds from their smartphones. We also implemented a branch policy on the develop branch to ensure that no one checks code successfully without an associated work item and a pull request. Implemented a pull request build that let checked-in changes on the pull request be built together with current develop version into a separate namespace on the Kubernetes cluster for tech or peer review. So what we've done so far, we've kept within the Azure tool stack. So on the Azure DevOps side of things, we're using the repo provided by Azure DevOps. We're also using the pipelines, and we're also using the Azure boards as well to track our issues. Now, today what we want to do is to examine a use case scenario where we actually don't want to use the repo within Azure DevOps to store our code, but want to use GitHub. GitHub is a very popular repository, and GitHub actually existed before Azure Repo. And we also know that Microsoft bought out GitHub at some point. So we want to examine the integration that exists or can be built between Azure DevOps and GitHub. So we're going to be using GitHub Repo as our repository and still maintain the Azure pipelines as our build environment, and also still make use of Azure boards. So that's what we're going to look into on this video. So let's go into let's go into the Explorer, and first thing I want to do is create a folder, call that AKS calculator demo git, because we want to use git for this GitHub. And then we go into the existing folder that we've always had, and we do a copy and go into demo git. So after pasting the 6 items, we're then going to git ignore here on AKS calculator demo, and then we'll go into Git, then we do new file. So we create the git ignore file just to ensure that we don't load up files we don't need into the source control. So let's save this. So we're ready to move. So the first thing we're going to do is let's get into PowerShell here. Yeah, PowerShell or CLI, whichever one is okay. Then let's, so git init. So we initialize the Git repository. Then we do an add to add all the files. Then we commit git commit -m initial commit. So that goes in there. So the next thing we want to do is to go over to GitHub to create a repository. So we're going to put in AKS calculator demo git. Then we'll just put that as a description, and then we create the repository. So that's created now. And the next thing we're going to do is to add the remote origin. So git remote this, then so we've added the remote. This is for us to just check what we've just done, make sure it's all done correctly. Yeah, that's it. And then the next thing is we want to push. Yeah, so everything is pushed now. And what we also want to do is to git checkout -m, I think it's -b, yeah, develop. So let's push. Oh, okay, we need to set the upstream. Okay, so we're going to be working off develop. Yeah, and I'll tell you the reason when we get to the pipeline stages. So the next thing we want to do is to go into Azure DevOps to create a project. So we want to create a project in Azure DevOps. So let's come over here. We're not creating a new organization. We want to create a new project, Azure DevOps. So we make it public, and then we create. So the next thing we want to do is to create a personal access token on GitHub and use it to set up a GitHub connection on Azure DevOps. So let's go a personal access token. So that's going to settings, developer settings, personal access tokens. Let's delete this. So generate new token. So let's say, yeah, let's just give it maximum permissions. So this access token. And then let's generate a token. So it's going to ask us to copy out the token. Then we'll go to the project settings, GitHub connections, then we'll go to personal access token. We'll paste it here, and then we connect, and then we pick the repository we want to give access to, save, and that's our personal access token done. Then let's go back to GitHub, and let's go to our repositories. Then the next thing we want to do is to create namespaces and resources on the Azure DevOps project. Let's come over here on the Azure DevOps project. So we're going to create namespaces and resources. So we're going to go to environment. So we want to create a dev environment, and you'll see how come we're doing this when we get to the pipeline stages. So because we're going to be deploying to Kubernetes service, and then it's going to ask us to log into the subscription that we want to use. Yeah. So I just need to pick the right subscription. If you remember, RG is Auto. Then we go into dev. So the next one we want to create is QA. If you look at the list here, dev, QA, staging, prod, and AKS calculator demo. So next is QA, Kubernetes. So it is auto. So we'll go for QA. So create another one, staging, Kubernetes. Next, pick the Kubernetes provider, pick the right subscription, pick RG Zodizoto, and pick staging. So that's staging we're going to do. So we have 3 environments, we need one more, and that's for prod. Kubernetes provider. Now I love the use of these environments and resources. It makes your pipeline work like a dream without you having to mess the code up as you move pipelines from project to project, which is what we're doing today. So we have 4 environments created. We need 1 or 2 more. AKS cal. Let's, because of our time, let's just copy that across. Calculator demo, Kubernetes. Pick the right provider, pick the right subscription, pick the right cluster, and then we pick default. Then we add a new resource to this one, which will be dev, just to make sure we've covered all the possibilities. So let's go to dev. And I think we're fully done. So we've created all this. There's one more thing we're going to create. Let's go to project settings and let's go to service connections, and we're going to create a new service connection for Docker. So let's go over to Docker Registry. So click on next. We'll pick Azure Container Registry. So it's going to make us pick our the right subscription again, or the right account rather. So we'll pick the right subscription, pick the right registry. Let's call it Docker Connection, GitHub. Grant access permission to all pipelines here. Okay, so I think we are ready to create our pipelines. So let's go to the project. So this is our project. Now, if you look into the repos, there's nothing here. We don't have, see, it's empty, no code within the repo. Then let's go to GitHub. So we got the code sitting in GitHub at the moment. And we got two branches there, master and develop. There is, I think there is a pull request. Is there a pull request waiting for us? Yes, there's an automated pull request. I should think, yeah. So what we want to do is to merge this pull request. Now this is on the master branch. So that's on the master branch, and I think that pull request has been merged. It was like an automated change of code. So the next thing we want to do is let's go to, okay, so this is branch master. So branch develop. Two commits behind master. Let's see if we can move the, okay, let's see if we can move the master change into develop. Okay, so the changes we put in master, I want to put them in develop. Okay, so let's call it merge from master. So before we do that, let's quickly go back, get back here, and let's create our pipeline. So we'll go to pipelines, create pipeline, then we'll pick the right repo where the code is sitting, where it can pull our pipeline code from. Then we'll pick the right repo, so it's picking up the pipeline from the repo now. Yeah, so approve and install. Yeah, so that is our pipeline. That is our pipeline. Okay. Now there's one change we need to make to this pipeline, and that has to do with where is our project settings? Is it project settings? And then service connections. Yeah, Docker Connection Hub. This is what I was looking for. So we come over here and replace this Docker thing here. And that is the only change we need to make. Every other thing is going to work like a dream. Now, of course, we know what this pipeline is the existing one we've been using before. This is the pull request stage, and this is the dev stage. This is the QA stage. This is the staging stage, and this is the prod stage. So let's save and run this. So setup, yeah, so we can save this. Save and run. Yeah, so it's looking at the master. So now it's going to start running through the stages. Yeah, so because this is the first save and we've actually asked it to run, it's going to run through the various stages for us. So once it's completed the build stage, then it's going to deploy to 4 environments, one after the other: the dev, the QA, the staging, and the prod. All right, let's see how it's going. Yeah, so the Docker build is going on right now. It's going on at the moment. Let's have a look at, okay, let's have a look. Okay, let's duplicate this so we can keep that going. So have a look at the master branch. So you see 2 minutes ago, that's the change we made. See the Docker connection GitHub, you remember this? So it's all checked in safely and nicely. All checked in. So there's something we're going to do. When this pipeline finishes, with this build complete successfully, we're going to create a merge request, which is what we started here. A merge request from master to develop. So the changes that we've made on master, we want to move them to develop. So we're going to be moving the automated pull request change, and also we're going to be moving the pipeline change that we did on the master branch into develop branch. And we're going to see how Azure DevOps will react to it. And the reason we are interested in Azure DevOps reaction is, I'll show you the reason. Okay, we need to look at the pipeline. Okay, now this one. So edit. Now, if you look at this, the branches where changes can trigger a build, there's only one branch we've defined here, and that's the develop branch. So that's why we want to implement a pull request into the develop branch. So let's see how our build is going. Oh, it's really making good progress. It's done the dev build, deployment. It's done the QA deployment. And then we're going to the staging deployment. In fact, it's done with the staging deployment, and now it's gone to the prod deployment. So we're going on right now with the prod deployment. So it's all completed successfully. Let's see. Let's look at the IP address. Just test one of them out. 52. Okay, let's just copy these out. See, all loading, all working. Add and subtract. Build succeeded. The email has come through. So the next thing we want to do is to complete this, open this pull request. So let's just write something. So this is on GitHub now that we're creating this pull request from master to develop. So you see, these are the changes that we're pulling in. The automated changes was made by GitHub on one of the assemblies, and then our pipeline changes. Says all checks have passed. This branch has no conflicts with the base branch. So let's go. Oh, it's actually going to do a build. This is awesome. So you see what has happened here is that we created a merge request, a pull request on GitHub, but GitHub has spoken to Azure DevOps, and Azure DevOps is now saying that, look, I'm going to do a build to be sure that these changes are going to compile successfully before you merge the request. So let's have a look at Azure DevOps. Can you see a build has been triggered? But you see, I'll show you the interesting thing about this build. You see the first build here went all the way to deploy dev, deploy QA, deploy staging, and deploy prod. Now the other build that is going on here is not going to go through this path. It's going to go into the pull request stage. So let's have a look. So it's currently building at the moment. So this is what we call a pull request build, a build that was triggered by a pull request, and it's going to be deployed into a separate namespace altogether. So this is really cool. So without using Azure DevOps Repo, we're using GitHub. So GitHub, a pull request on GitHub can trigger a build on Azure DevOps, which is very nice. Which is really, really very nice. Very nice. So now it's going to do a deploy pull request here. You see? So this is a pull request build, as in a pull request deployment rather, following on with the build. So what it will do is to create a new namespace. So it's waiting for the external IP address of the new deployment that is done for the pull request build. So let's see what the new namespace is. This is the new namespace, which is 38. Let's see. Create a new. Okay. Let's look for that number. Yeah, it's going to be 382.088.371. So let's have a look here. kubectl get namespaces. This is 63 seconds ago. 382.088.371. 382.088.371. 63 seconds ago. So let's look at all that namespaces. So you've got dev, you got QA, you got staging, you got prod. They're 20 days old on the cluster. Well, you see, this is a brand new one here, 382.088.371. So the review app is completed. If you look at the email here, it gives us an IP address. We click on it, and then that's our pull request build, sitting nicely. Then let's go over to, so the pull request build is done. So we can then go ahead to merge the pull request. Now, interestingly, okay, let's say confirm merge. Okay, so let's have a look. Now you'll notice that a merge from master into develop has not triggered a build. Do you know why? Let's have a look. So let's go into the pipeline here. It's going to edit. So whether master or develop, they're actually the same. But you see, this is the reason why it did not trigger an automatic build. You see, if you look at the paths here, only changes under this path can trigger a build. So what we're going to do is go into GitHub and make a superficial change to one of the code files and see what happens. So let's go to GitHub now. Let's go to develop. Let's go to source file. Let's go to AKS calculator. Let's go to the AKS calculator and startup.cs. So let's change something that will be visible when it's deployed. So let's go to, let's edit this file. So in deployed to GitHub, deployed to GitHub. So we're going to commit the changes. So instead of committing the changes directly to the develop branch, we're going to create a new branch and start a pull request. So let's call this superficial change. And let's do that. So it's going to create a new branch and start a pull request. So it's done that for us. Let's call it superficial change. So create the pull request. Now I've created a pull request number 3 on GitHub. Let's see what happens over here. Pipelines, see a build has been triggered. See pull request automated 3 has been triggered. And when we click on it, it takes us straight back into GitHub. So you see the integration really is really very nice, really very nice. So we've been able to demonstrate the use of GitHub as our repo while still working within Azure DevOps. So we can decide that we don't want to use Azure DevOps repo to keep our source code and use GitHub, and it's still going to give us very good results, very good performance. So you see the build has been triggered because we created a pull request, which is the same sort of feature we would have gotten if we were using Azure DevOps repo. So let's see how far the build is gone. So this is a pull request build going on for the new pull request. This new pull request we created here. So it says the build is still in progress. Yeah, which it is. Yeah, so the build is pretty much completed. So it's going to go into the deploy pull request stage now. Yeah, so the deployment is about to start. Yeah, it's in progress now. So it's deploying right now to Kubernetes. Yeah, it's waiting for the external IP address assignment. Okay, let's see the new namespace it created while we wait. That's the new namespace is 382089303. Let's have a look. See 382089303, 47 seconds ago. So you see it's created a namespace here. So let's do cube ctl get services namespace, this one. So you see just one service running on that namespace, AKS calculator. Oh, we have an external IP already, 1380.109.121. See 1380.109.121. So that's the pull request build completed. So let's go in here. So it says that all checks have passed, which was that build that just finished up. The branch has no conflict with the base branch, so we're going to merge the pull request. So confirm the merge, and then we're going to delete the feature branch we created here. Now, the moment we do that, you see a build has been triggered. Continuous integration on develop branch. And this build, this time, is going to go all the way here to the dev stage, to the QA stage, to the staging stage, and to the prod stage. Now, there's something we did not do on this side of things, which we did on the previous videos. We did not create any approval gate. So let's go to prod and see if we can create an approval gate. Approval checks, approval. So let me just add myself. Approve before prod deployment. Then advanced, allow approval, so then create. So that's been created. Let's see what's going on with the pipelines. Oh, okay. I think I can try adding QA and staging as well. QA. Then let's go to staging. Okay, so let's go back to the pipelines and see what's going on. So the dev build has started, and as in the dev deployment has started. So the next thing, we should be going to the QA deployment. Let's see what's going on. Okay, so it's waiting. So just click on review. Just say approved. So the QA deployment has started. Okay, so it's waiting for me to approve on the QA side of things. So staging rather. So staging approved. So it's going to proceed with the staging deployment. See? See? So the deployment has happened. So the next one after staging will be prod. So yeah, it's waiting for us to do a review. Approved. So this is the last deployment it's going to carry out. So the way we know that all these have worked so well is let's do get pods, because it recreates the pods on every deployment. See, these are new pods, 2 minutes 47 seconds. Then let's go to QA, 107 seconds. Let's go to staging, 63 seconds. Let's go to prod, 33 seconds. So all completed, all fine and dandy. Pull request 4 has been fully merged. Yeah, it's been fully merged. 0 pull requests. So you see, we've been able to achieve a very near perfect integration between Azure DevOps and GitHub.com. So it's possible for you to keep your code in GitHub.com. A lot of projects historically live inside GitHub.com. So it's possible for you to set up a project on Azure DevOps and be able to pull your code from GitHub into the pipeline for continuous integration and for continuous deployment without migrating your code from GitHub into Azure DevOps. So that brings us to the conclusion of this video. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like and subscribe to my channel, and spread the word around that you can almost perfectly integrate GitHub.com, your code on GitHub.com with Azure DevOps. So bye for now.